So the Westworld Season 3 episode titles may have just been leaked, and they are coming from Spoiler TV, which is a very credible source, or they have been in the past, and they've basically listed the first 5 episodes of Season 3. Obviously we know nothing about the back 4 episodes of Season 3, but it seems like the 5th episode, the title has been leaked in fact, and obviously we have to take this with a grain of salt because it may not be these titles, but obviously, as I said, this source has been credible in the past, and it seems like these titles very much fall in line with what we've been seeing in Westworld in the past, and in particular what we saw at the end of Season 2. Before I get into the actual titles and discuss them, if you do enjoy this video and you want to see more Westworld, I am going to be reviewing every episode of Westworld Season 3 along with doing a season review once the season has wrapped. So if you want to see all of that, subscribe to the channel, and if you do enjoy this video, give it a like rating and let me know down below what you think of the episode titles. So without further ado, let's get into these leaked episode titles for Westworld Season 3. So the episode titles are as follows: Episode 1, Passé du Mine; Episode 2, The Winter Line; Episode 3, The Absence of Field; Episode 4, The Mother of Exiles; and Episode 5, Genre. And people on Reddit in particular have started to break down some of these episode titles and talk about, you know, stuff that they may be alluding to essentially. And Passé du Mine, which I believe is the title of a Latin or an old Roman Catholic chant. The actual words of the chant translated to English are "Spare Lord, spare your people, be not angry with us forever." A literal translation from Latin to English of the words Passé du Mine would essentially be "spare Lord," which a lot of people in the comments of this Reddit post are basically saying that it's alluding to, obviously the text itself comes from the book of Joel, and that kind of alludes to like an apocalyptic, catastrophic essentially event with imagery. So what they're alluding to with that first episode is kind of Dolores is on a path of war. She's on a path of reckoning, and that's kind of what we see in the trailer, and that being the first episode title would make sense. And I was actually going to do a video on my theory for Westworld Season 3, and my theory is that this season we're going to get the setup of a new world war, and that's between the hosts and the humans. And they've been alluding to this a lot in the show, and even if you look at the marketing of Westworld Season 3, and in particular that trailer with the timeline of events, they're kind of suggesting that essentially humanity has stumbled from one war to the next, and we seem to not learn from our mistakes. And now if you look at, you know, Westworld Season 3 with all of this war imagery and the titles and kind of the speculation around the season and where we ended off in Season 2, I would not be surprised if Season 3 is kind of the prelude to a new world war. And talking about war, Episode 2 is titled The Winter Line, which is essentially a set of Italian defensive military fortifications, which we know kind of alludes to the Italy set war world that we've got going on in the show. Obviously in the second trailer we got our first look at War World, and that is going to be set within that Italian defensive military fortification with Maeve. So by the looks of it, Episode 2 is essentially Maeve's episode. It's the one where we get to see her rebuilt and in War World, and that's kind of, I think War World is essentially the backbone to this season, similar to how Shogun World in Season 2 was kind of the backbone to what was going on there. It was kind of an episode in Season 2 which challenged the idea of, you know, what it means to be family, I think. And if you look at Maeve with her daughter, if you look at Akane with her daughter, and how that is challenged, and it really does set in line where Maeve is going as a character, and how she's on the opposite side of the fence to Dolores, in that she's a character who wants to save people and hosts that are essentially good, and in particular hosts that are good and, you know, on her side of things. Whereas Dolores is on a path of reckoning. They're showing the kind of the different sides, and I think we're going to get that a lot this season. We're going to get Dolores' side of the hosts and how she sees them going forward, but then we're also going to get Maeve and we're going to get her side, and I think that's the side a lot of people tend to side on, but it really does create an interesting conflict with, you know, how does a species develop? one that's building and one that's in the shadow of another. How do they come over that obstacle? And I think episode 1 and 2 perfectly set up the season by the looks of it through their leaked titles to kind of set that up. A Dolores episode in episode 1 about her path, and then in episode 2 we get kind of, Maeve's path, and, continued on and symbolised through the war world in terms of what this season is setting up. So then we move on to episode 3, The Absence of Field, which I don't really know much about. I haven't really gained much information on this title, but what someone did put on a Reddit board is that essentially it's a reference from a Mark Strand poem. But what some people have pointed out is that this Absence of Field episode may link to the one that follows in The Mother of Exile, in terms of it could be applied in different types of context. It could be applied in a spiritual context, not having a heart or soul; an espionage context, believing that others won't see you coming; an internal context, a person's ability to change and then not recognise themselves anymore; or a literal digital context, an unknown or unseeable space. And then you know what that kind of refers to, the Forge. And then also an emotional context, missing another person. So thinking about, kind of them episodes and how they correlate with one another, the Lady of Exile, which follows this episode, could be about Maeve. And in terms of giving her role last season, I think they are really setting up from the Winterline onwards, kind of Maeve's fighting against kind of the way that Dolores sees things. And Dolores says that herself at the end of season 2 to Bernard. She says, you don't agree with me, you're probably going to fight me, but that's how we're going to survive. Essentially we're going to have to try and work out the best way for our species to go forward. Now, if that kind of makes Dolores, from what she goes through in season 3, go on an even darker path and go against anyone who's against her on the host side of things, then we'll have to see. But I personally think what they're setting up through these titles is Maeve and Dolores. They're showing both sides of the host perspective that we were left on at the end of season 2. The final episode, Genre, really hasn't, I don't think anyone can kind of pick out what that could be about yet. It's kind of a weird title for Westworld. I've never heard a title like that. Could be a mind twist episode, I'm not sure, but apart from that, from episode 1 to 4, we've kind of got an idea of what they're focusing on through these titles. Episode 5, we can't really work out that yet until obviously we start to see the episodes come out. But yeah, I thought I'd bring this to you guys because, it's kind of interesting. I've always been into the whole Westworld title thing and what they could symbolise and what they could mean for the episode. We got a lot of that in season 1 of 2. I think they have some of the best episode titles in television, and it's interesting to kind of work out where they could be going. But based on these titles, as I said, I think we're looking at the kind of separation between Dolores and Maeve in terms of what they believe for the hosts going forward. And I think we're going to see how the world kind of shuts out Dolores in that first episode, how she, it's worse than she imagined. Even though it's similar, it's worse than she imagined, and that's going to either send her up an even darker path or a path that is more, communicative with the other side, which is Maeve's side. We're going to have to see what they do with that. I think they're going more the destructive path, the war path, and I think they're showing that in season 3 with the war world, with all the war symbolism. I think they're going that path, so we'll have to see what they do with that. To end this video, I just want to talk about the trailer and when we could be getting that. Obviously, we had a poster last week from Westworld Season 3, a really awesome poster, and if you actually zoom into the poster, you see that the host that we see, the skinless host on the poster, is Dolores. You can see her blue dress kind of attached to her legs and to her arms, and it basically symbolises that that's Dolores. And there was also a nice little nod to the skyscraper piercing her in the poster, which is kind of like she's being rejected by this new world, and I like that kind of symbolism, and again these titles kind of reflect that. But in terms of the trailer, when could we be getting the Westworld Season 3 final trailer now that we've had the poster? Well, HBO like to release their trailers, weirdly, a week after they release a poster or any promotional material. So if I had to guess, we're going to get a Westworld Season 3 trailer probably sometime this week. But I'd put my money on Wednesday, since we did get the poster revealed last Wednesday. And if they have a normal pattern of releasing trailers after posters, a week in advance, then we may get this trailer on Wednesday. I don't know what time, I don't know even if it will come out Wednesday, but that's just my little speculation. But let me know down below what you think. Do you think we're going to get a final trailer for Westworld? They always do this final trailer with, really good music. They did the Roy Orbison Dreams for Season 1, and then for Season 2, I believe they did the Heart-Shaped Box trailer. So we're bound to get something before this show starts. We're still a month out, and it's perfect timing to drop that final trailer. So let me know down below what you think when the trailer's coming out, and also let me know if you have your own theories towards the Westworld Season 3 titles. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Remember again, if you did enjoy it, to subscribe for all Westworld content and other movies and TV shows. I will be doing loads over the coming weeks. I believe I've got a June video coming out in a few days talking about its marketing campaign and how they could approach that. So let me know down below if you want to keep seeing more June, if you want to see more Westworld. Just leave me a comment and let me know. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.